Hey everyone, I had actually planned on doing another video a lot sooner than this, but life, whatever, gets in the way. Um, some crazy things have happened, nothing horrible. Well, um, I had a massive fish kill happen in my fish tank. I lost about a dozen fish. Near as I can figure, one of the earth eater cichlids that I have must have uncovered a pocket of um, like bad gas that can get underneath your substrate, and like a massive explosion of like carbon dioxide and other bad chemicals can result in that. It's, I not much you can do about it. You can like kind of poke through the sand a little bit and try to like make it so those things don't build up over time. And to admittedly, I hadn't done that in a while. So it stinks, but whenever you lose fish, it just means that like you got room for new fish. So I'm gonna let the tank kind of sit. It's a 125 gallon tank, so it's a pretty big one. And so I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit. And hey, Smalls. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit and then restock it with some other things that I wanted to do. Other than that, I had a sick dog, a lot of sick pets, but she seems to be on the mend now, which is nice. She had like a bad little tummy bug there for a while, and just busy with work and what have you. We had a gas leak at our house. That was fun. So now, thankfully, it's not during the winter. So we had to turn off the furnace. We're gonna have to have somebody come and take a look at it. But yeah, lots of crazy stuff going on. And above all else, I've had normal fun life things going on as well. So what I wanted to, that's a lot of nothing that has nothing to do with the reason why you maybe clicked on this video. So the last one I did about these, I got a good response. I got a lot of people leaving comments, and that's always nice. I like reading those, and I responded to every single one. And that's going to be kind of my thing going forward. If you comment on any of these things that I talk about, if you take the time to do it, I will make sure I respond to it, and try to not do it. And it's like, hey, thanks for the comment. I actually like try to respond in some way that's meaningful. But what I was going to talk about today is it's a role playing game thing. And I've got a lot of role playing game ideas in my head, and of course, when they pop into my head, I should write them down or something, but because I quickly forget them. But this one actually, I posted on Facebook. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, you might have seen me talk about this a little bit. And this was kind of like a remembrance for me of stuff that I did when I was young, but also how it's kind of connected now with how I play gaming. And it's really interesting to me because for the longest time I was just I just played Dungeons and Dragons. That's what I played. It's very commonly the very first role-playing game anybody ever plays. It's what sticks with them. It's what plays with them. I think we could go on and on about why it is such a mainstay. But it has to do with a pretty continuous core rule set that no matter what edition you pop into, you're at a common ground with anybody else that plays. There's differences obviously, but you're still in that same basic rule set of fighter, mage, cleric, thief. With obviously in later editions and what have you, there are variations to those. You still got those same 6 characteristics. I guess with Unearthed Arcana, we added comeliness, which was kind of stupid, but whatever. There was just a lot of stuff that goes on with it, and it maintains its core regardless to the edition. And I think that's the reason why D&D is so popular, or why it continues to be popular. Plus, it's like it was the first like, I mean, I've heard comments like, what isn't the first true role-playing game, and there might be some truth to that, but it was the first one that was really mass marketed and the people understood what it was. Regardless, uh, I've played a lot of role-playing games, however, and I'm not going to try to give you an exhaustive list here. But I mean, I've played sci-fi, I've played horror, I've played dramatic, just you can figure it out. I mean, like Shadow, of course, I'm going to have to let Shadowrun. Again, of course, now I'm drawing a blank, but like Shadowrun, Mech Warrior, not BattleTech. BattleTech's more of a war game. Mech Warrior is the role playing game aspect of it. Uh, Toon, GURPS, Call of Cthulhu, Chill. I could probably just look at my bookcases over here and see what the books that are on there, and I'd probably get better ideas. But I guess my point is that I've been around the block, and I've definitely played a lot of different games. But a game that I played a lot of in my teenage years that has since kind of vanished. And of course, there's going to be a few people in the commentary here probably that are going to say it's not vanished, it's still out there. Yes, it's still out there. But I think this game, which just not this isn't a big like reveal moment. It's like Paranoia. Paranoia, I think it hit stride in the era when it came because there wasn't a lot of different role playing games out there, and Paranoia was um, a an absolutely fabulous, fabulously funny game to play. So if you've never heard of Paranoia, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about not like who published it, because West End Games first started publishing it, and then Mongoose. I think Mongoose still has it now, or maybe somebody else has it now. But regardless, West End Games published it. West End Games are also the first people, I believe, to publish the Star Wars role-playing game, which was a very good D6 based role-playing game. But I don't want to get into that. I really liked that Star Wars role-playing game. That was a lot of fun, actually. Uh, anyway, so the uh, the game of Paranoia is based in this dystopian future, and you're thinking, oh, after the apocalypse, dystopian future. No, no, no. It's this is completely satirical and played for laughs. The world has progressed to a point where there's all these people that are living in these alpha complexes. And an alpha complex is basically a giant domed city that has its entire habitat, uh, uh, you know, it is contained as far as the food is like grown in giant vats. The Everything is electronic. It's scrubbed clean. It's well in some places anyway, and the people that live within it are all clones. So basically, there's these clone vats that DNA, and then they spit out like a peon of a person, and that person is clone one of its clone family. And then, as if when the clone dies, then they activate number two, and then when number two dies, is number three until you get to number six. And once number six is gone, it's done. Your lifetime is over. And it's not a it's not a very I don't know what the word I'm looking for here. It doesn't spend a lot of time trying to explain it. It doesn't try to spend a lot of time to try to explain anything. It's just the way it is, and you just have to accept the fact that and your status within the city is based upon the color of like the clothing you wear. And it's all the spectrums of the rainbow plus infrared, which is black, and ultraviolet, which is white. And so you start off as an infrared, and off camera before you basically informed on another one of your fellow clones that got you promoted to troubleshooter status, and you became red. And it's just Roy G. Biv. It's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And you became a red level clone, and you then are now what's called a troubleshooter, which is just somebody that the computer, and I haven't talked about the computer yet at all, is sent out on missions, usually to find traitors to the Alpha Complex. And here's the thing: everybody's a traitor, because according to the rules of the game, if you're part of a secret society, that is, you're a traitor to the computer, and you can be executed on sight. If you have a mutant power, then you're a traitor to the computer, and you can be executed on sight. And there's all kinds of other things you can do, just standard stuff. But here's the thing: when you make your character, every character is part of a secret society. Have to be, and every character has a mutant power. And the thing is that everybody has a mutant power, because of the fact that, like, when the clones are made, there's something about the clones that actually like screws up and changes things, and like alters the DNA of the clone in general. And mutant powers aren't like like super strength or anything like that. They're usually completely useless, or if they actually are useful, then you end up you usually end up getting found out, because you fall in love with using your mutant power, and then somebody sees you and then shoots you with a laser gun. So this is a long, I apologize for the long explanation, but I'm trying to get to the fact that it's the computer. So the computer is basically this all-encompassing artificial intelligence that controls the Alpha Complex. And it is present everywhere, all the time, and is always watching. It's always watching. But it has no real ability to affect the world. So it relies on keeping these clones to maintain it, and also maintain society, and also basically preserve the way of life that it wants. And the computer, the programming of the computer was kind of screwed up, because of the fact that it got, I don't remember everything, but it got caught in kind of a weird, one of those, like, Star Trek Captain Kirk, you ask the computer a couple questions, get it in a continuous loop type of thing, and then it screws up. Same kind of thing happened with the computer. So it itself is paranoid. It thinks everybody's a communist, which is part of being a traitor, because this is like Cold War era creation. Like, it has like this Cold War era. That's when the game was created. So it was kind of firmly rooted in Cold War, communist bad, capitalism good kind of thing. And the whole idea is the computer's insane, but it also controls everything. And along the way, the troubleshooters have to try to figure out whatever mission they've been sent on, but also they have all these other things that they're supposed to do. Like, their secret society wants them to do something. Their power group, whatever power group they're in, like whether they're part of the computer programming power group, the military power group, and so on and so forth, they have things they want them to do. So they're kind of ping-ponging back and forth. Now, the whole point I'm telling you this is, there are rules within the old game, the old Paranoia game, that allowed for like a campaign play, but they were absolutely ridiculous, and nobody that I know of actually tried to continue and play as a campaign. Mostly because the game itself is very deadly to your troubleshooters and to what they're doing. They are you are going to die, and you're going to die very quickly. And so what we would do when we played it, we played Paranoia a lot. What we would do when we played it is that we would play store-bought modules, adventures, or whatever, and we play them as a one-shot. Now we had tried doing one shots in with Dungeons and Dragons. Like somebody bought like a module for character levels 10 through 12 or something like that. Well, we didn't have characters level 10 through 12, but there were always sample characters in the book. But what we would do is we would roll up our own level 10 characters, and then we'd play these things. But the problem was is that we didn't feel any kind of kinship to our character. We hadn't actually progressed that character along to level 10, and so we didn't have a feel for them. They had like, the central casting type of backgrounds and stuff, instead of like a rich and luxurious background that was created over the period of playing a certain character session after session after session. So they didn't go well, D&D one shots, because you just kind of I mean, and this is going to be a little inflammatory. It kind of it felt like whenever I see later editions of D&D being played, where your character usually ends up just being the stats and the feats and the abilities and the quirks and like all of the little kits and what have you that your characters are part of. They become, that's your character, instead of like the actual role playing aspect of the character. I found, and so that's what it was. It was like our characters were how many attacks were on, what magic items they had, what kind of spells did they cast, things like that, instead of actually like the character itself. And so I didn't really like it. It wasn't very fun. So the uh the interesting thing for me was that when we played these games, these paranoia games, it's that you we were much more flamboyant with what we did and our actions and our insanity at the table. Because one, if your character died, who cares? You get that next clone in. Just like however the car speeds up to wherever the guy jumps out, and has all the equipment and ready to go and shoot the lasers and what have you. And so you didn't really feel bad. And then the thing about it was also is that the party of troubleshooters themselves, they all had, and we never made our own characters. We used the ones that were included in the in the modules, because they were set up with backgrounds that set themselves against each other. And so it was one of those things where it was like somebody would be already on clone 2, right? And they'd be like, oh, that stinks. And then they know that, but the reason why they're on clone 2 is because their first clone was killed almost assuredly by like another clone that's in the group already. And so you're swearing revenge to get back at that person. And those things are just set up. Now, and the cool thing for us was that even though it wasn't like, if you wanted to actually complete the mission and like find whatever the computer was trying to tell you to do or whatever, if you wanted to actually complete the mission and do it, murdering another clone in the party isn't going to help you. It's going to make it actually more difficult to get through the process, right? But we didn't logistically or analytically figure that out and say, well, that's stupid, I'm not going to do that. We just dove in and went for it and had a blast. And we laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, and we play these games for hours and hours and hours, and we had a blast with them. And I don't know what happened with paranoia. I do remember one person in my group like actually like said they didn't like it, because it said like, oh, it's like nobody takes it seriously. Everybody just starts showing up and shooting lasers at each other and stuff like that. And which, the rest of us were like, well, that's the whole point, just like, but it just died off for whatever reason. And then like they stopped making stuff for it. And I still have most of my old paranoia books. And I even have the newer editions as well. I think there was a box set that came out in the last 3 4 years. I've never played it again though, and which is sad. I should play it again because I really like that. I didn't really like the it's a percentile dice system if we're going to get into the mechanics of it. I never really liked that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, no, it was good stuff. So that kind of leads me to where I'm going with this is that like one shots, like now for me, um, I realized after I started in the last year, I started just I mean, I'm part of a long-term D&D campaign. I have a very cantankerous, grumpy dwarf named Odin that I play, and I really enjoy the character. Uh, but and I'm going to talk about that, how that works here. But for a while there, D&D was really boring for me. I was like running games and we were having fun with them, and then like I mean, honestly, like the weird thing is that I've DM'd and DM'd and DM'd games over and over again, and for the longest time, I couldn't remember, and I still really can't remember the last campaign I run, which tells you something about like how jazzed I was about it. Which my players had fun, but I can't remember a thing. Right now, I'm running a game for my son and his buddies, which is it's just is an interesting evening every time we play. I love it. After I'm done, I like think that was fun, and then I have to like recharge my batteries, and then like and then forget exactly how insane these 5 11-year-old boys are driving me crazy, and then I can come back, to like, yeah, let's play again, that was fun, and it's like I forget, but that's another, I should do a video on that. um but so the I kind of fell in love with the idea of running a Call of Cthulhu adventure, just because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to run something, and I this past winter, I put one together, and I had 3 of my friends show up. And it's weird with Call of Cthulhu. It seems like when we play D&D, it's usually 5 players and a DM. But I mean, 3 players, and sometimes 4, not 2, but 3. I think is like this, like DM plus 3 players is like the sweet spot for Call of Cthulhu. 4 works really well too, but not as well as 3. I think it's just because it's so much easier to like pivot the camera to the different points of action very easily with 3. With 4, you kind of you can get a person get lost in the shuffle. I mean, which is fine. It's just that's neither here nor there. Maybe that's also on me as the person running the game that I need to think about. But um I read up a bunch about a bunch of like plot hooks and plot ideas for creating a Call of Cthulhu adventure. I read a forum post about like, just make a Call of Cthulhu clue game basically, which is what I did. And I ran this thing, and we played this thing in an evening about, this weird evil cult that hundreds of years ago had imprisoned a Colorado space in a lake up in the middle of nowhere, and all these people had come up there to, like, in a very Clue-esque, show up and have dinner, and then murder mystery starts happening, and then they start finding out what's going on, and everybody starts going insane, and eventually only one person managed to escape, and everybody else got destroyed. But I mean, whatever. And the Colorado space escaped from the lake and went back to space, but we got done and everybody had a blast. And the thing was is that, I mean, we had people um being cannibals. We had a serial killer character. We had a character, my friend Jason played a person that found out that um like her parents had actually been sacrificed to the Colorado space, and so she went into a murdering rampage against the members of the family that were there. And everybody, like I said, it's just like they basically took their characters and they just chewed the scenery and they just had a blast. And they didn't care that their characters died at the end at all. I mean, they were just, except for the one person that escaped. But the serial killer escaped, actually, serial killer character. They but and everybody was afterwards, they're like, that was amazing, that was fun. And we've played several times since then. I played another one of my own creation that went not as well, but I think it went pretty well. And then there's a few others that I've run that are like actually like store bought Cthulhu scenarios, and those have gone over really well too. But we played it five times now, and it's fun. It's a way to it, and it's fun because I get to play a bunch of different characters. I get to tell a story. I get to like enjoy the people that are playing it, enjoy the story as well, and they get to dive into it. But I probably what I realized in the last week or two is that it actually made me really, really enjoy D&D again. And not because I'm cleansing my palate with something brand new or anything like that, which would be what I think it was. What I realized was my dwarf fighter in this campaign. I came up with this. I'm not going to go too deep into the campaign story, but basically, Empire has crumbled, and the Empire had controlled everything, and they had actually like made a great many of the dwarf clans subservient to them. And my character is the last remaining dwarf of his clan because his clan refused to bend the knee and they were obliterated by the Empire. And so he basically hates the Empire, and he he is struck out on his own to try to basically reforge his clan. And anytime he runs into anything that has any kind of vestige of the Empire, he either he tries to either destroy it. He doesn't just outright murder like somebody who's wearing like still wearing an Empire cloak or anything like that, but he'll pick a fight. And then if he can get the fight started, then of course he's got to defend himself, that sort of thing. And he doesn't really like humans, doesn't really like much people. He's kind of a standard dwarf. But what I've discovered is that I started adding little tiny quirks to Odin. His begrudging respect and love for the party members, uh, like rarely shines through. But when it does, it actually like takes everybody aside. Like when there was an NPC thief that was a part of the party. And just so you know, we play our own homebrew version of the game, but which is basically kind of an old school game. But he this thief named Bragan, and he constantly just was derisive to this thief because he's human and because he shot him with an arrow once by accident. And when the thief was killed by an evil sorceress with a fireball, he like Odin took out his dagger, and like at his funeral he cut his palm, and he said, it's just like, I swear on my blood and the clan forge hammer that I will not rest until Bragan's death is avenged. And it was a moment. It was a fun little moment. And now like he is like now my dwarf is consumed. And this is that everybody's like, what? And like when we got a new thief, I was like, you've got big shoes to fill, or you got big boots to fill. Bragan was the best of us, and it's just like they know that like Odin was always just like Bragan. Actually, no, Odin, that's another quirk. Odin never refers to anybody by their name. He's like, thief, get over here and do this. Elf, what are you doing? Just like but he's also like the first person when nobody's looking. He goes to like these poor farmers and he gives them hundreds of gold, to like basically so they can rebuild their farm after it's been obliterated by trolls and things like that. So, but he doesn't want anybody to know that because he'd be embarrassed. But the point is that I'm having a lot of fun with this character, and he and his hatred for human society and what have you is a constant state of friction for the players. The players are trying to get stuff done, and they actually like role play it out. It's like, we got to make sure Odin isn't around when we go talk to the mayor, so they come up with some excuse for me to like go off. And there was a really funny moment where uh they they were gonna like after like basically my obstinate nature cost us a our own home in the city we're in. Everybody was just like, okay, we just got to make sure, we got to wait until later when Odin goes to sleep, and then like the elf, um the sorcerer who's got a high charisma, he's like, I'll go back and I'll smooth things over with the mayor. And um and so I don't know how it happened, but somehow I got wind of it. And so late at night, when he had like set up a meeting to meet with the mayor, and he was walking over to the mayor's house, and he's got a lantern, he got to the mayor's house, and Odin was just sitting at the porch, with his pipe, whittling away. And it's like, going for a walk, elf? Oh, Odin, how are you? Yeah. And it's so, and everybody, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm actually playing the character to a detriment to the party, which, remember, go back to my parent when I was talking about paranoia and talking about like Call of Cthulhu adventures, like, and then the other players have started building on that as well, like not playing D&D as a prospect of, I need to get 1,000 more experience points to gain a level so I can get more spells, so I get more things. People are like playing their characters of as a real, like, person. Does that make sense? Like somebody that would actually like exist instead of just like a character on a sheet. And we had gotten to a point where we were doing that. I mean, we weren't really like role playing out our characters. We weren't really trying to make them be anything more than the character that was on the sheet. And we're having more fun, in my opinion, in the towns, running into like NPCs on the road, things like that, and having those discussions than we are actually like diving into the caves and killing trolls. And I found that like I basically just can't wait until the next time we play D&D, because I'm so excited to just play Odin, and not just to play Odin to roll some dice and see what happens. I mean like playing Odin and putting on his skin, so to speak. How Call of Cthulhu is that? And diving in and doing it again. And yeah, I mean, so if you found, I guess my whole point of this is that if you found yourself like D&D growing stale for you, or your role playing games growing stale for you, try running a few one shots. And I'm not and try just cutting loose. And it can sometimes be very difficult to um be the oddball at the table, like talking in a weird accent, or acting weird or whatever. And don't fall into the trap of saying, well, my character would do this because they think this. Don't say that. Just play the character. Play the character and embody it. Don't justify it. Just play it. And I've said this before. Don't play it like, oh, I'm gonna just steal from the rest of the party. I'm just gonna do this, that, and the other thing. No, no, no. I mean, you can cause some friction, but don't cause a break, right? Don't cause so much friction that you finally just shatter what's going on. But cause some friction. Cause the situation to actually like have a little bit of interparty conflict, because there's a difference of going on, and a process. And I think you'll have a lot of fun. At least I am. So there you go. Tell me about your experiences with playing one shots. Tell me your experiences about playing a character, playing a like a character that you like are really deeply involved in, and want to experience and just enjoy that character and see that person's story come to fruition, type of thing. Tell me about that. Tell me about that journey. Tell me of the games you're playing right now. Yeah, there you go. Thank you all for watching this. Thanks for I hope to do one of these a week. Well, I'm gonna say that, and right now, I'm gonna be like out of town for like the next couple weeks, because I gotta go out of town to go to a wedding, and then I gotta go to Columbus for Origins. So if you're gonna be at Origins and you want to stop by the booth, say hi. You can find me there. But yeah, once I can get back into a schedule like doing this I plan on doing. So until next time, be the best version of you that you possibly can be, and just take care. All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.